Good morning, afternoon or evening, wherever you are. I'm Paul Clark and welcome to my studio. Now, what have I got for you lovely lot today? Well, I wasn't going to do any more snow scenes. I had something completely different planned, but I had loads of comments saying, please Paul, more snow scenes. So we're going to have a go at this lovely little winter scene, but this one's slightly different. We're only going to be using 3 colours, so it's a great opportunity to learn all about mixing your colours, especially those browns and greys. So come and join me and we'll paint this step by step together. Okay, so for today's materials, and I'm quite excited because for the first time I'm trying out this paper. It's Hallelujah, this German brand. Now it's cold pressed paper, 100% cotton, but look at this, £300, and it's on a block too, so there's going to be no chance of any buckling today. Now it's quite expensive and you only get 10 sheets in total, so it works out about £3 a sheet. So it does put a bit of pressure on you not to waste it. Now for my colours today, just 3: cadmium yellow, permanent orange and French ultramarine. And this version is by Daniel Smith's, which is a very granulating blue. So essentially we're just using 2 primaries and a secondary. So we're going to do lots of mixing today. Now let me show you. So we know that if we mix cadmium yellow with an orange, which is basically a mix of yellow and red, we'll get some lovely golden colours. But here is where it gets interesting, because if we add the 3rd primary into the orange, it will neutralise the colour and you'll get this lovely warm colour similar to burnt sienna. And the more blue you add, the browner it will get. And even more will turn it into one of these lovely shades of grey. And you can see how the heavier pigment of the French ultramarine starts to separate out and gives you these amazing granulating colours. Just look at the way it's separated in the palette here. So more on the orange side will give you these warm browns. And even with a thick creamy mixture and lots of blue, you'll get a very convincing black. And finally, 4 brushes from my range, a 3/4 inch flat, a number 12 and number 6 round, and of course my trusty number 3 rigger. So as this is from my imagination, I like to do a quick tonal value sketch first in pencil. And a template is free to download from my website, link in the description below. Off we go! Wetting the complete sky area in clean water using my flat brush and letting it really soak into the paper. Next, with my number 12 brush, in with some cadmium yellow and then blending in some of the permanent orange. Now if you haven't got permanent orange, any bright orange will do. Now with the French ultramarine, being careful not to mix it too much with the yellow, as we don't want any green. And all these browns and greys I'm using are mixes of the orange and the French ultramarine, and they're just far too many to list them all. And here just lifting out a little touch of light with a damp brush. Nice and dark here, and again a mix of orange and ultramarine. Now, I've heard it being said that you shouldn't use ultramarine in your skies because of the heavy granulation, but I think it works a treat, especially in evening skies like this. Here I'm just tilting my board at a diagonal angle to let the paint move slowly across. And here just lifting out again that touch of light. So while still wet, a very strong creamy grey mix painting in these distant trees, getting this lovely fuzzy out of focus look. And you can see the orange slightly separating from the mix, giving this lovely glowing effect. Now for the snow, and what you'll get is a lot of the sky colour being reflected. So I'm wetting with clean water, then putting in light washes of the orange and the ultramarine. And here I'm just building up the bottom of the banks with warm and cool greys, all mixed from those same two colours again. So now we need to let this totally dry. So it's a perfect time for a short break. And what about a pint of winter ale? Not bad at all. Like that. Now for the bridge, and I'm using browns and greys for this. So using a limited palette like this really helps to give your painting harmony and balance. And to be fair, in an evening scene such as this, the colours would be limited and fairly muted. And here, just using the wooden end of my brush to scratch in a few details. So for the shadow under the bridge, I'm really trying to get the darkest value possible. Now for the trees, and I'm using my number 6 brush and starting with a sort of golden colour on the trunks nearer the sunlight. Now with my rigger, a darker value, and I just love this brush for those tapered spindly branches. They always look so natural. And a few little details here on the bridge. Now for a little dry brush effect on the trees, keeping my brush flat to the paper and picking up the texture. Then I'm just wetting a few areas just so we don't have hard edges everywhere. And just a little bit of splatting for some extra texture. For the fence posts here, quick one stroke if you can. Little bit of goldy colour here to suggest that some of the land is showing through the snow. And a little shadow under the trees. And I'm painting this sapling thing here in exactly the same way and the same brushes as I did the trees.
Don't wanna sleep tonight at all. Just wanna watch them stars fall. But you don't wanna try to make up dreams just to be seen. I wanna lay here beside you, all quiet. Fire breath and open sky. It's not what we know, it's where we go. I grow wings and tell her goodbye. It's not what we see, it's what we choose to be.
Now for the little river, and I'm using a very watery mix of the French ultramarine, and then dropping in various greys and blues and oranges.
Each second is a treat. I keep my balance next to you. It's true. Nowadays there's nothing I wouldn't do for you. Fire breath and open sky. It's not what we know, it's where we go. I grow wings and tell her goodbye. It's not what we see, it's what we choose to be. We're beyond good.
And just here trying to pick up a little of the reflection from the trees above.
Fire breath and open sky. It's not what we know, it's where we go. I grow wings and tell her goodbye. Oh, it's not what we see, it's what we choose to be. Fire breath and open sky. It's not what we know, it's where we go. I grow wings and tell her goodbye. It's not what we see, it's what we choose to be.
Next, for one of my favourite techniques, with a damp tissue, softening and blending a few of the hard edges, almost like getting that wet in wet effect back. Now I have to say, I'm just loving this Hahnemuhle paper. See, I can say it. It's very thirsty, like most cotton papers, but it's a joy to work with not the slightest hint of buckling, and I'm definitely going to use it again. And as you can see, it lifts out very well if you rub quite hard. Okay, so now for these final details, and I'm back with my rigger for these little reeds and grasses poking through the snow. So next I want to put in a little texture in the foreground snow here. So I'm splatting in some French ultramarine blue and then just giving it a quick spray with clean water just to blur it out a touch. Next, for these final details, I'm using a white pastel pencil. Now sometimes I prefer to use white gouache, but I want it to be a little more subtle, and these pastel pencils are perfect for that, and they're great for these light branches. Now just a few more little grasses and highlight details. And that's it. I think we're done. Well, I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did, and you'll give it a go. And as I always say, just make it your own. And really try not to be tempted to use your burnt umbers and your Payne's Grey, but just try and mix them from those three. It really is a great exercise in learning the theory of colour and how to mix. So, as always, please don't forget to like, subscribe if you haven't already, it is free, leave a comment. I do read every single one, although I can't reply to them all. And as ever, I look forward to seeing you all again next week for another Watercolour Wednesday. Take care, everyone. Bye for now.